Video intros always take me forever, like whenever I have a blank slate and I hit record, I never know what to say. Hello everyone, welcome back to Minecraft. In the last episode, we expanded our storage room. Yeah, I suppose that'll do. We expanded our storage room and we now have mass storage for single item types. This system is all properly hooked up and connected, we just don't necessarily have the means to run it full time and actually make use of it yet. And we also have to decide on the rest of the items, right? Because this is only for about 36 items total, I think it is, for single types. And there's a lot more than 36 items in this game, as I found out very recently going through the creative menu. So today we want to finalize our mixed shulker box loader system. And if you made it all the way to the end of last video, first of all, thank you. And second of all, I teased what we were going to be doing today. Yeah, the very center of this room here is this block here. Last episode I was underneath here, and this is where we're going to be developing today. So under here is going to be known as the index. Yeah, so between episodes I spent a whole bunch more time here in the creative test world trying to index all of the items in the game. Well, at least all of the relevant items in the game. There is some stuff which of course is unobtainable in survival, which we don't care about. But then there's other stuff like, for example, all the different potions and different candles, which I've omitted from this. But this wall represents our mixed shulker box wall. So again, just to clarify, the idea with this mixed shulker box system is that we have different shulker boxes which we can pick up and take to different projects. So for example, the first few ones in brown here are for all of the wood types. So, you know, we got all the signs, we got all the oak buttons, we got all the pressure plates. We're going to want somewhere to store this, and we might also use it for various building projects. The idea is that we can pick these boxes up from the storage room directly, and we can take them off to different projects, and we have all these things available to us for building, and it's very easy to access, and they are stored properly and in a way that we understand, or at least that I understand. So I wanted this very personal to me. We're going to go through this in detail later on, but some of the highlights I wanted to point out here in the beginning is that not all of this is finalized, and not all of the items we're going to have at the moment. Like, for example, I have all the building blocks down here, so all the variants of stone, the overworld stones, andesite gravel, or andesite granite diorite, and then, yeah, the sandstones, terracotta and packed mud and bricks. But man, trying to decide on how to categorize all this stuff was really a challenge, and I still might not have it quite right. For example, here I have some of the mob drops, at least a lot of the common mob drops. But this also shares with a little brewing kit I put together. So these are all of the brewing ingredients, which also shares things like the blaze rods with this one here. So some of them we have duplicates, but I think it makes sense to have some duplicates somewhere. Like this one is a lighting box, for example. We have all the copper bulbs, but then I've also included the copper bulbs in all of the 2 copper boxes that we have. So there's one for each of the oxidized stages of copper. So there's 3 here, and then the 4th one, the fully oxidized, is here. And then there's just more spaces for full blocks of copper. Some of them right now I've left with blank slots, which is not, it's not going to be possible in this survival system, because this relies on having full shulker boxes to set the filters, right? So whenever we take an item out of this, we need to leave at least one to make sure the filter is still set. But because we don't necessarily have enough item types to fill every slot here, I've left some of them blank, which does give us room for future expansion when new updates come out. For example, in 1.21.5, we have the wildflowers and leaf litter, which are going to be in these slots. We're still in 1.21.4 here, but I do want to update very soon. So I left room for those, along with the cactus flower and the firefly bushes and the dry grass. Those are I'm actually looking forward to building with. But yeah, like some of them we've doubled up on the slots, and that's just to give us more items available when we grab the shulker box and we bring it to different projects. Especially for the wood types, I've given a lot of oak logs, or logs in general for every type. But it makes sense to do that because you can craft all of these from the logs pretty much. So it makes sense to carry the most dense version of the material. So yeah, there's a lot of different item types, hundreds in fact, and we have to categorize them all. We have to index them all, which is where the name comes from for this project. So this is what I'm thinking here is this is going to be some sort of a library right underneath our storage system. So it's going to be like a world library where we store essentially a backup of all of the sorted shulker boxes in order. So for all the item types, we have either a copy of the item itself, or we could just name a dummy item, for example, an iron bar or a piece of paper, and we could say that this was oak planks, and put that in its place so that we can go and reference the table of contents, the index down there, if, for example, this ever gets messed up and we have to fix it. Plus, I just think it would be a really cool idea to have a world library, a world index, and we can store other stuff like world maps, and we can lock it to different states, and yeah, have like a history of the world, so to say, as we evolve, and as we make more episodes here. So, I have an idea for the block palette, and it's going to involve the tough blocks. Wait, have I raided this already? I think I've taken this, or yeah, I've looted this. It's going to involve the tough blocks from the trial chambers, so I want to start today by going and checking one of those out. I've never been in one, in survival anyway. I've never actually checked out the trial chambers before, so I think there's one over here to the north. I'm going to use... Oh, that's a new wolf as well. I'm going to use the treaty free cam. There it is. I knew I'd seen it before. It's like right under here. Okay, it should be right underneath us. Let's make sure we set our spawn here. Alright, and we are in. Lots and lots of copper around, and of course the tough. I want to use this for the library, for the index. Okay, where's all the good stuff? There's some spawners up there. Some bamboo. Some emeralds. I guess the decorated pots are alright. What was that, iron? Yeah, just iron. Oh, and the sherds as well. Yeah, here we go. What is it? Silverfish? Yeah, so these are, I guess, the trial spawners, which you can make ominous. If you drink one of the potions. I forgot to bring one. I do have a bad omen potion, which you can get from the... I forget the names. Man, I'm so good at this game. I'm so good at this game. I know what I'm doing. Oh, sweet, there's some beds here. The raid captains, that's the word I'm looking for. It's the raid captains that drop the ominous potion bottles. Okay, we got some skeletons. And is that powdered snow? It is powdered snow. Alright, so this is like a relatively dangerous room. Is there anything in the dispensers? Just some snowballs? Yeah, this could potentially be quite dangerous without leather boots. Nice, we're at 2 of 2 shots. No shots missed so far. 3 of 3. 4 of 4. Okay, we missed. You didn't see that. Don't fall. There must be... Oh, it must be the trial... The noise of that thing, right? Ah, so this is what... Maybe this is what's making the sound? A piece of chicken. I think you need one of the keys for that thing. And that is one of the loot generators in here. You can get a whole bunch of stuff. Yeah, there's quite a few here. What does he have? Oh, they have slowness. I thought it was all poison. I brought some honey bottles to clear the poison from our bee farm. But I don't know if it does much against slowness. Let's find out. Doesn't clear slowness. Yeah, poison or honey is just for poison. Aha, there's the key. So I guess you have to defeat all the mobs from the spawner. Is it a set amount that it spawns? That would be my assumption anyway. Since we've now cleared out all the mobs from here. We get our trial key. I think maybe the better way to tackle this would be to remove some armor and make it more challenging on yourself, because I mean the combat in this game, unless you're caught off guard, is really not too difficult. So maybe it's better... Yeah, we got another key here. Maybe it's better, more of a challenge if you take off your armor and maybe set some challenges for yourself to tackle one of these things, but... Oh, there's the breeze! Oh, these guys are awesome. These guys are awesome. And the new breeze charges... Oh wait, you can't melee them? Or you can't ranged attack them? Oh, we're taking some damage here actually. After just saying the combat was easy. We should be a bit careful. We should be a bit careful. Yeah, I guess it's melee only. There's the breeze rod. Oh no, I'm just about dead. Oh. Uh-oh. Okay, we got one more key here. Let's see what we get. It's pretty cool that it opens like that when you have the key in your inventory. Or in your hand. And armor trim. The bolt armor trim. Poison arrow and some breeze charges. Yes, this is what I was talking about. The wind charges. These things look so awesome. You can bounce yourself in the air. You can toss mobs around. It's so cool. I don't really want to use it though. They were one and only. I don't really want to use it, but I guess we'll set up a farm for them. I'm pretty sure it's possible to farm them. I just don't know how. All right. Well, I think we've got the whole trial chamber. Like I said, there is the ominous ones up there. I think that's an ominous one. But we need the ominous trial bottle, and you need the ominous keys to open those. Maybe I'll come back later on for those, but for now, I'm gonna get to mining this place out. Not with a stone pickaxe. I'm going to start mining all the copper and all the tuff. And then maybe I'll make a start on some of the building. And I'll show you my idea for this library, for this index. Yeah, I think this is where we came from, right? This is the start. There's another ominous trial thingy up there. Yeah, around here should be our bed. Right here. Right? Here. Yes, here. I was all spun around there for a second. So now that we have the trial chamber secured, I grabbed a couple of our precious shulker boxes to start filling with lots of tuff and copper blocks for use in building. I also wanted to use the other nether tree type, which we've not come across yet in our travels through the nether. So it took a while to fly around until I located the biome. So I made sure to grab some of the foliage to farm the trees back home. But I think pretty soon we're going to set up one of those farms that give us the nether flowers. But for right now, I just used it manually and farmed the trees manually. So we only need a little bit for this index. The idea I have is just to use it as a bit of a color accent. So it's not going to be a very prominent block. We don't need too much of it. But stone brick was also to be another addition to the room. Unlike the rest of my choice in building blocks though, this one we had in abundance. Now though, after some material collection, I was feeling inspired and creative, so I was in the zone and I began building our world index. It shall be written that all items held by Mr. Fold shall henceforth be stored in this facility under strict organisation and under law, or something like that. So as you can see, I got a good portion of this index complete here. There's still a little bit to go, some decisions still to be made, but I'm really happy with how it came out overall. Like I said, I was just feeling inspired and really in the groove. Yeah, so we got lots of copper here from the trial chamber, we got our stone brick, we got the tuff blocks in the ceiling, we got birchwood in the floor, both the stripped birch and the birch planks, and then we got mangrove. I really like this red mixed in, especially with the green on the ceiling. So the ceiling is moss blocks and terracotta. It's a little bit out there, it's a little Von Sway you might say, but that's I suppose what we're going for in this base. I had a crack at doing some sort of chandelier. It's the first one I think I've ever built in the game, and it's also a little out there, a little strange, maybe a little out of place in this room, so it might get changed. But you guys can let me know what you think about that. I think I'll leave it the way it is right now. I don't know why I put honey in there, I just wanted some extra colour. I've really been trying to make an effort to add colour to my builds, because I've been guilty of doing like very monotone, boring builds, especially in modded Minecraft. But here I really want to introduce colour, or make an effort to try and make sure that there's enough colour in the build, which is why I wanted to use this warped wood. Also, I want to make sure that these lamps here are the full bright variants, so the copper bulbs have different light levels depending on their oxidization state. We're going to have to lock it in with some honeycomb. But I believe all this copper block is already waxed. Yeah, you can see down here. It's already waxed. That's the one we took from the trial chamber, so it should stay the fully unoxidized copper. But some of these lamps here that we change, we'll have to lock in with the honeycomb. I was pretty fortunate that it did fit in here when I was building the dome, especially because the dome pushes right up against this room here, this oak floor. So we're pretty fortunate that it did fit, but it did fit. I didn't have to adjust anything. I'm also not sure if I want to leave this place like dilapidated and try to introduce some cobwebs and maybe some of the cracked stone brick, or if we should try and make it pristine and clean, because a dilapidated and abandoned library or like courtyard, I don't know exactly what this is. But an abandoned space doesn't exactly scream organization, which is the whole point of this, right? This is to have a copy of our storage system index or table of contents. So maybe this is a well-kept library. Maybe this is a very rich library, which is why we're using rich materials like copper and expensive wood like the stripped oak. Yeah, I think maybe we'll leave out the cobwebs and stuff, although that is missing a block. That wouldn't happen in a rich library. We want to finish the building here. And speaking of finishing the building, I'm not sure what to put. I'm not sure what to put in the middle here. So there was no pre-planning for this before the episode even started. I just had the idea for an index, and I was like, yes, let's go. I'm ready. Let's build this thing. But I didn't really put much thought into it. I also was thinking when I was building that world maps are not really going to show much in the world since we're building everything underground. So maybe once we build the witch farm and some other areas in the world, we can map those out and stick those on the wall here. What are you doing on there? These bats are everywhere. My goodness, they're actually... I see... Did he just raise from the dead? Did he just come back alive from the dead, or what? Did I... I swear I heard a bat there after he perished. There's another one around here somewhere. So as you probably know in this game, whenever you have water streams and have soul sand underneath... Hello, zombie. And have soul sand underneath, you can be sent up a bubble column. I had the idea of maybe doing this for the entrance. Maybe this could be cool. It doesn't need to be this long. Definitely not. This is to get up to our AFK tower for the mob farm. Did they follow me up here? You chancers. You chancers. I don't think so. Yeah, so I want to try to implement one of those, and that will allow us to keep the footprint for the entrance pretty minimal, and also keep it pretty hidden, so we can keep it right here, and just have our bubble column here. So the soul sand, when you have the source blocks above, will send you upwards, and when you have magma blocks, it will pull you down, which I think we can see over here. There's a natural generation of magma blocks here. It pulls you down, right? So what if we try and implement some sort of switcher, which will maybe on either a pressure plate or on the push of a button, we can go either down to the library or back up. Okay, so what I'm thinking here is we have our default elevator state be on down, so that when we're on the top level, we don't need to have any redstone control up here. When we're on the top level, we can just hop in and it'll pull us down, and then we hop out here. And then when we're at the library level, we can hit a button in the floor potentially, and that should switch it over to the soul sand, and it should stay soul sand for just long enough for us to reach the top again, and then it'll automatically switch back over to magma block. So to do that, I think we want a sticky piston and a regular piston, and then we want our magma block on the regular piston, or yeah, magma block on the regular piston, and soul sand on the sticky piston, so that when we power the button above this block, it should power this piston for long enough for us to reach the top, so like 20-30 seconds. And then when this one unpowers, we want this one to pulse, and that way it should leave the magma block behind and default the elevator state to downwards, right? So we want to set this one up on a timer, and then this one on some sort of falling edge detector, so that when this one unpowers, this one pulses. Oh, I think we might have it here. Wait, okay, first of all, I switched them both out with regular pistons so that we don't have to keep this one powered. We can just pulse it once, and then after a specific amount of time, we can pulse this one again to default it back to the down state. So we can do that by hitting this button here. So that converts it to the up elevator, and it also starts the clock here. So it activates this piston, unlocking this hopper, and the items start to flow into this one, which is where we get our torch inversion, the first torch inversion, which will then unpower this piston. And this is I think this is actually a rising edge detector, not a falling edge detector, because it only activates when this torch turns on, and it only turns on when the timer turns off. This looks very close to a clock, but it's not a clock because this is a regular piston and not a sticky piston. So it doesn't ever pull the redstone block back. It only activates when we give it a redstone pulse. Once more, when we hit the button, we give our signal to the timer, and this piston retracts, and it's waiting for another on signal, which only happens when the items flow back. So any second now, we should see that piston behind here. You saw that power momentarily, which sends its signal to this target block and powers this piston, which then sets us in the default state of the elevator again. I hope that made sense. I just tried to explain it like 3 times in a row and I confused myself. So yeah, that is how we've got this set up. It would also be nice to have a button here and here as well, just so we can hit it from any side. Is that going to be possible with a redstone? Can we also have a button here and a button here? I think we maybe can actually, if we have some redstone dust here, and then we can grab it from this block, right? We should be able to put a repeater in there, which will also add some extra delay, but that shouldn't matter. And it'll just send it through to here, right? It'll power this dust, right? It does work. Yeah, and now we need to add our water streams in here, so we need to make sure there's not a flood. So we need some blocks here, although that's going to cut the redstone dust, which is not ideal. I wonder if we can just move it to here instead, and just do that. Which will have to happen on the other side as well. We don't want this to connect here. Actually, that's okay if it connects. Yeah, no, that shouldn't be a problem if it connects. We'll maybe just adjust the delay here. So that and that. We don't need this repeater anymore. And we can just do straight from here. And that allows us to put our blocks here and here and here so that we don't have the water spill out. Right, so that should still work. Well, that button won't work, but the buttons upstairs should work. Let's just test it one more time. So magma blocks over to soul sand. Maybe not. This is worrying me a little. Maybe that shouldn't have connected down here. Yeah, it's staying on here. Something is... Oh, we have a loop, that's why. Yeah, so this cannot connect. Yeah, okay, so now we can add our water streams. We want to definitely make sure that we can not have any spillage. So I'm going to add some glass panes, which should help protect the water. Up to here. We'll run some ice up the center. Actually, I do want to switch those blocks out there. I really don't want to have these as diorite, because we're going to see this when we're up the elevator, right? Oh man, this ice is so slow to break. I only have the silk touch pick on me, so that's not really ideal. But we should be able to breathe now. There we go. And we should get a downwards elevator. Now, right? Or one more ice block. Should be it. Yes, there we go. And now when we hit the button... Wait, let's heal first. Just in case we take magma block damage. So now when we hit the button, we get our bubble elevator. Perfect. And it should convert back here and allow us to go back down. This might be too long. There we go. Yes, awesome. Oh, nice. Yes, but the timer is a little long, so maybe we don't need as many items in here. We can get away with... Let's try 6 items. Is that enough time for us to get to the top? Yes, it is. And it's already switched. Okay, so... I also missed some die right there. That's not ideal. That's going to be hard to switch around. I'll fix that, but yeah, 6 items seems to be alright. Let's try that one more time. So we go up, and it's still soul sand. It's now magma blocks. That seems perfect, actually. Maybe the timer is unnecessary. We might have just been able to get away with, like, some repeater delay. Nah, because we need the rise and edge detect. Nah, maybe it is. I'm going to leave it the way it is. It's fine the way it is. It works. I'm happy with that. Alright, so now that we have an easy way up and down, I'm going to spend some time here and start to index all the items, right? So I'm going to go from the creative test world and get a copy of, get a copy of the order of everything to configure this index. And I'll also make sure to add a copy to the ones upstairs as well, which should now be easy to get down, to get up and down. It's super fast. So I'm also going to add our shulker boxes in this location. We should have some shulker boxes back here somewhere, right? Yes, although we had a lot more shulker shells, which I don't know where... Are they in the ender chest? I hope they're in the ender chest. The ender chest is also another storage inventory, which we have to set out, because you can also put shulker boxes in here, right? So we want to have our own ender chest organization, but I'm going to leave that for another day. Right now I'm going to focus on this wall and trying to make sure we have all our shulker boxes organized. Man, this is so cool. Nice and organized. That's what I love to see. I love to be organized in this game. So I thought this would take me a couple of hours, but actually it took me a few days. And it's still not quite where I want it to be. So I think we have space here for 60 boxes, and I believe there's 47 in front of us filtered. Although 47 is kind of overselling it a bit, because there's items from many of the boxes missing slots, or missing items, I suppose, in their slots. But I'll explain the method to my madness in just a moment. When I was building this, I did take a short break and when I was filtering this, I took a short break and done some building. So we have a tree in this space now in the index. I'm not sure why I decided to build a tree, but you know, it's here. It's maybe a little plain looking, but it's the first custom tree I've ever built in the game. So it took me a while to get to this point. Originally, it was like way too lopsided off to this right hand side, so I had to rip it out and try again. But this is the version I've ended up settling on. Yeah, let me know what you guys think about this. Is it too big for the room? Is it out of place here? I mean, it doesn't really fit a library. There's not really a library with a big tree in. I mean, there probably is somewhere, but, you know. This is our index building. It stores a copy of all of the filtered shulker boxes here, or upstairs. And this is Minecraft. We can make this whatever we want it to be, right? We can justify... Well, we don't really need to justify anything, right? But it's always nice to. So maybe there's a reason that this is here. Maybe this is our tree of life. This is our tree of Tree of Prosperity, Tree of Automation, Tree of Redstone, I don't know. If you have any suggestions, then let me know in the comments. But we have some gold blocks since this is supposed to be a rich space. Our gold supply did not like that one bit, so we might have to borrow those until we build a gold farm. We'll see. But yeah, we have the gold blocks down there, more sandstone, more copper. And yeah, more jack-o'-lanterns just for some extra lighting, because it is still a little bit dark in this room. I don't know, let me know in the comments though. Do you like the tree here? Should we replace it? It's kind of grown on me though, the more that it's here. Every time I come down here, I kind of like it more and more. So yeah, the shulker boxes. We have pretty much kept it the same way as I had laid it out in the creative world, but I realized a couple of things when I was doing this. So some of them have changed positions and changed colors and changed items and so on, but essentially the way I went about it was to fill in all the items that we could. So we have snow. Well, we have very limited snow. I just collected like 1 or 2 blocks just to put here to set the filter. So yeah, there's a lot of situations like that where we just have like the minimum amount to set the filter. And then for the items that we don't have, I renamed a piece of grey glass. So like, for example, the skulk veins, the skulk catalyst, skulk shrieker, and skulk sensor will go here when we eventually have those. As for the categories and the grouping of items, these are not set in stone. We might find out later down the line that when we start to use these boxes, that we don't necessarily want the slots that are assigned. So this is like our nether box, for example. Maybe, let's say we start building with a lot of nether bricks. We could, for example, do this in the future to have more slots for nether bricks so that we carry more in the shulker box. But I just tried to eyeball it right now and just sort of guessed for a lot of the materials. Mud. Like I gave 4 slots here for it, but maybe we want to say that we use more brown mushroom since we're using that as a floor material here. So examples like that. Same for brick here. We have bricks here and it was originally just empty slots, but like I said, we do have to keep them filled so that we can set the filter. So I just, where it made sense, doubled up on the items. This is our sandstone box. This is our andesite, granite, diorite. This is all of our stone materials, mossy cobblestone, stone brick. And then we have all the wood types, which look almost the same. I chose to add some sticks in the box along with the sapling, just in case we run out of wood and we have to farm some more and we're off in another area of the world. We have the sapling available to us to be able to grow the tree. Yeah, so all the wood types look pretty much the same. And then we have some nature boxes up here. This one is for moss, mostly. And then also the pale moss. We don't... Well, we're not in 1.21.5 yet. Once we update, then we can get access to the pale moss. In fact, the pale moss is in this version, isn't it? Yeah, of course it is, because we have pale wood. Yeah, what am I talking about? We just haven't found it yet, so that's why it's the glass. There is also some... Hold on, let me see if I can find an example here. There's also some examples where we have just empty slots. So I used regular glass panes for that, and that's just to signify that we could fill it with whatever. It's like a free space that is available for any future update items which might be added to the game, or like, I mean, we could just do this with ice and just fill that with ice. So I just left that blank, but these are all the assigned items. These are all the prismarine stuff, which we do not have. I want to make a guardian farm, because I think prismarine could actually go well with our block palette. Honestly though, our to-do list in this world is way too long, so we need to set some priorities. Also, if you're noticing the inventory change, I just noticed there that we were missing the dark oak box. This was completely empty, so I guess I forgot about it. I just went and quickly filled that box, but yeah, we should now have every single wood type properly sorted. Yeah, all the wood boxes are pretty much the same, with the exception of the nether one, which also has the warp blocks in there. But then, yeah, we have all the leaves, we have all the ferns, all the sea pickles, and dripstone. All this stuff took forever to go and find. Again, the resin, which is doubled up, and the pale hanging moss. And then we have all the flowers in the game, or mostly all the flowers in the game. Wither roses, pitcher plants, that's from 1.19. Leaf litter and wildflowers, that's from the new update, which we don't have yet. And then, yeah, dry grass as well, the pitcher plod. Firefly bushes, sniffer eggs. Like I said, I don't know if it's necessary. Like, do we even need a slot assigned for a sniffer egg? Or is it realistically just going to be that we like store it in a chest next to where we have sniffers, wherever that happens to be in the future? I don't know. There's a lot of cases like that where it's like, do we really need a slot assigned for it? I don't know. But like I said, I just tried to eyeball it and do the best I could. And then we have a glass box here. There's some extra bits and bobs in here, like pressure plates. Do we really need to store those? Those might get switched out for some more panes or maybe just regular glass. And then tinted glass here. A spot for the chains and the iron bars. All of the tough blocks, and then the resin blocks, which is also from the Pale Garden update. More empty slots, and then amethyst, along with the calcite. And then all the blackstone and the nether stuff, more empty slots, bone blocks, soul soil, soul sand. Deep slate. And then we have 2 copper boxes. So I talked about wanting to have every state of copper in terms of oxidization. But then I realized that the waxed ones don't stack with the unwaxed variants. So these are both the same stage of the copper block. They're both fully oxidized, but one is waxed and one is not. So it doesn't stack. So I'm undecided how we want to store our copper, whether we want it waxed or unwaxed. The ones that we get from the trial chamber are all waxed, which has me leaning towards storing waxed only. But I don't know. I just left space for a second copper box here with some glass panes to block the slots. So we'll decide on that later on. If you guys have any suggestions on that front, then let me know. Or for any of this, to be honest. If you guys have any suggestions for changes, then let me know. And then last box for right now is the redstone box. Again, sculk sensor. I'm not sure how often we'll use those, so maybe that'll get switched out. Daylight detector. Same for that one, maybe. We'll just craft it on site when we need it. Like, how many of those are we really realistically going to use? It's probably quite likely that we use more of them in building for decoration than we do for actual daylight detection, but we'll see. We'll see. And then there's all of the 16 colours, which are meant for the dyes, so... Well, it was a little bit more than I could manage at the moment, so I just decided to put this off for next episode. I have a really cool idea for how to fill these boxes. But they're actually supposed to look like this, where we have white or concrete, the colour of wool, more colour of glass, so again we double up on the glass boxes, since there's a full glass box here. But yeah, we just have the colour of glass, glass panes, glazed terracotta, regular coloured terracotta, concrete powder, and then more dye slots. But yeah, like I said, it was a little bit more than we could manage right now. We don't have all this available to us. We don't have a sheep farm, we don't have enough gravel or sand to make all the concrete, and we also don't have enough dyes either, so we're going to hold off on this and just keep the boxes reserved. But as for the ones we're missing in the survival world, I think we're missing this one, which is the mob drops. We'll fill this in as we get them, pretty much. The warm ocean stuff, we don't have a warm ocean for like 5,000 blocks in the world. It's like way, way, way out there when I checked on the seed map. So other than the sea pickles, which we got from a wandering trader, we pretty much don't have any of this stuff. Although maybe we'll end up using coral blocks next episode. Maybe that's a little teaser for you guys. You can maybe guess what we're doing well, no, you probably can't actually. And then we have the lighting box. We still have to do that one. The brewing box, I still have to do that one. And then there's also the food box, which I haven't done. It kind of depends on which food type we end up going with in the end, like automating and using full time. But I'll probably still set the box as laid out here in the main world. And then we have all of our ores, which I'll probably do off camera. Valuables chest, or a valuables box, I suppose. Work tables, which I guess I can also do. This was just yeah, it was quite a lot. Plus the lodestones are getting a recipe change in the next update, so maybe I'll hold off on those, but the rest of the stuff we should be able to filter in. And then we have like a tools chest. Most of the stuff here I suppose we could filter in the shulker box, but we don't have a mace, and I really wanted to get a mace, so I went back to the trial chamber actually, when I was filtering all this stuff, and I took a little break. Went back to the trial chamber, this time with the ominous bottle, and it was definitely more challenging. All the mobs had like potion effects and armor on. Some of the skeletons in full diamond, well not full diamond, but diamond armor and enchanted bows and stuff. It was kind of insane. The breezes were also like relentless. Oh, check this guy out. He's in, is that diamond armor? Is he in a diamond set? And leather boots, so he's like well protected from the powdered snow. Hey, that bounced off of him there. But the game just did not want to give me a mace core. I think we had like 4 keys in total, but it wasn't to be this time around. I Yeah, I just left it where it was. I done one round of the trial chamber. I realized though that we missed out quite a lot of it. Like there was a whole other section that we hadn't discovered the first time around, so I was able to take that on and get a few extra keys that way. But unfortunately no mace core. So I heard it. I heard the spawner. Where is it? It's up here. Come on, give us a 4th key. More steak. It's actually quite a bit larger than I initially thought. And steak again! Are you kidding me? Steak again! Steak again! Yeah, we have to leave the mace out if you're similarly the trident. Maybe when we build our guardian farm, or I don't know, maybe we'll get lucky one of these days. But yeah, there is a lot of items in the game, and storage is kind of no joke in vanilla. It's kind of insane. But then the burning question on your mind might be, what about when these fill up, right? Like, surely, eventually, you're going to have more than, oh, I don't know, more than 2 stacks of dirt, right? Well, dirt's a bad example because we have our full shulker box loaders that we built last episode. But surely, in the future, you're going to have, like, more than 2 stacks of tinted glass? Yes, you are 100% correct, which is why I have plans for another storage room behind me, which is not something we'll tackle next episode, but our storage room will grow in the future. Of course it will, right? Why not overcomplicate things? And I think I have a good idea of how we're going to do that, and it's going to be fun, but we're going to start another project next episode. For now, though, that's going to wrap up this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode on 3 Plays Minecraft.